this exercise. So the task for this one is white to move and how can white get a draw. And the theory about this puzzle is key squares. This is a very important knowledge in king versus king plus pawn endgame. So for a black pawn at g6, the pawn is going downward, and there are three key squares: f4, g4, and h4. So once the black king can step in any of this square, black can secure a winning. So I can show you how. So for example, from like gut feeling, white is getting. So when both king reaches to f3, so now the black king is opposing the white king. Remember what I said, these four squares are the key square. So the only move white can stop the black king going to any of the squares, king g3. But after king g5, white will realize he or she has to give up one of these key squares. So for example, if king goes to h3, the black king can move to f4. So this is one of the key square. Okay, so the first task achieved. Now the problem is, how can white defend the pawn going downward? For example, these three squares are all secured by black king. White king cannot do anything about it. So for example, the king goes to let's say g2. So an interesting thing is, when the pawn reaches to g5, for example like this, so the key square changed. So the key square will become downward accordingly. So these three squares are key squares. So the black king has to control or step in any of the key squares. So in this case, if black play g5 right away, white king can play king f2, and the white king is opposing the black king to stop king moving downward. The king goes to g4, we can keep opposing the black king, and white can keep doing that to get a draw. If the king go to f5, we can keep following up. g6, king g4, just like this. So if the king goes down, we can, if the pawn goes to g4, we can keep opposing the black king and get a draw eventually. So I can quickly show you how. So king f4, go up, king g4, go down, king to h3, king h1, opposing the black king, g2, and this is stalemate. Okay, so this is how white can get a draw. So the thing is, this is the tricky part. And let's go back to here. Yes, king f3. Oh no, not here. Yes. So remember what I said. So when black king reaches one of the key square, white play king to g2. And if the king goes to g5, the key square becomes this 3. So in this case, the black king has to keep opposing the white king to get one of the square in advance. Okay, so if the king goes to f2, we can play king h3. So this is something black can do beforehand, if I put it that way. If the king go up, we can push upon the g5. So these are the key squares, and we are in one of it. That's good. Pawn to f2, and we can keep the pawn to g4. So for pawn reaches g4, for black pawn reaches g4, the key square becomes this 6. And our king is at one of them. So that's good. If king to g1, we can opposing the white king. And if the king goes to h1, king f2. So this is what we call outflank. King to h1, king going to the right, we're going to the left. And then we can control all the three squares, which the pawn has to moving step by step. King h2, check. Yeah, we will have a queen. So yeah, so that's how it goes. So we have to be very sure of the key squares, and from defender's perspective, we need to think ahead how to prevent our opponent moving the king to one of the key squares. Okay, then what is the solution for this puzzle? So as I said, these four squares are key squares. So if we move king to b3 or a3, so like this one, the black king can opposing us from very beginning. And as I show you, so all the way along, black king keeps opposing our king, and we have to give one of the key squares when the king reaches g3 or earlier. So how can we solve that? Actually, the best move, after the explanation, maybe that's becoming a bit clear. King b2, that's only best move. Because if you move king to b5, I can oppose your king. And things become a bit different. That is, when king reaches g5, white king is opposing the black king. So I am controlling the key square, and you have to give way to me. So king h3, as I show you, so white can definitely get the draw, as long as the white king can control the key squares. Yeah, this is how we can get a draw. Yes, okay. So king to b2, let's go back to the beginning. King to b2, that's the only best move. So if black, for example, play, let's say, king to b6, yeah, black is also very smart, and it doesn't like make the king going to go to b5 at the beginning, and we keep going king to c2. Whenever king reaches to c5, we're going upward to opposing the black king. But if the king keep moving at the 6th rank, we can keep doing like that. Okay, keep the key square in your mind. Okay, so king go up f5, the king is going to step in, king f3 opposing the black king. And the king goes to f6. What can we do? Should we move king to f3? That's a disaster, because the black king can oppose our king. So what can we do? So actually, we can move the king to g2. And the king cannot go to g6. It's king to f4, f5, king f3, king to g5, king g3. And if the pawn to g5, remember, when the pawn reaches g5, these squares are the key square. So we are still safe. King g3. And we are opposing the black king. Yep, we can get a draw. Cool. So this is the solution of this puzzle.